Hello, good evening everyone. Welcome to our Institute of Global Professionals free webinar. My lovely audience, today I am your host for the evening, Ummi Salma, Head of Ambassador and Core Volunteer in IGP. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to be associated with IGP as a global member. I feel honored and privileged to host this webinar. It's my delight to welcome you all to our Institute of Global Professionals free webinar. Thank you for joining with us, and it is humble request and pleasure to you all to stay with us till the end. Each time you can like and comment in our webinar. Don't forget to tag, share, mention your friends in the comment box. So let's start our program, work together and learn together. We believe that power is gained by sharing knowledge. Once again, I am Ms. Salma, core volunteer and head of campus ambassador in IGP from Bangladesh. Every day, some new participants join with us, so I have to give little concept about IGP. Now, before starting our program, let me tell you about IGP. Institute of Global Professional is an educational institute provides social work. We believe that it is not effective to increase one's skill just by offering formal education. So, we provide effective training consultation to generate professional generation all over the world. Institute of Global Profession is an educational institute provides social work and globally recognized. We organize our webinar, training, online, offline courses, etc. by best and trained speaker courses from all over the world to create a best learning platform for you all. Our mission is to empower people and enhance skills. We have already completed 115 webinars successfully. We expect that you all are getting a little bit benefited in personal and professional life, and we wish that you all are remaining with us in this long journey. Let me remind you all again, don't forget to share, tag, and comment, and mention your friends in the comment box because your attachment encourages us to be better and best service to our lovely audience. Our mission is to empower our youth, so stay with us by your support. I am cordially welcoming you all. Today, we are presenting the webinar 116 on article writing and publication with three speakers, Dr. Rita Indrawati from Indonesia, Dr. Amita Bikram from India, and Dr. Fides del Castillo from the Philippines. So let's start our program with IGP's mantra, feed your skills. Our first speaker is Dr. Rita Indrawati, is a lecturer of Universitas Sriwijaya, new educationist and public speaker. So please give a warm welcome to our first speaker, Dr. Rita ma'am. Hello ma'am.
Hello. Hello.
Hello ma'am. Now
Yeah,
you are
hello.
audible.
Sorry. Yeah. Can you see? Can you hear my
Yes,
voice?
yes ma'am, you are audible.
Okay.
Now it's now it's just over to you ma'am.
Okay. What should I do now?
Ma'am, you can share your presentation.
Oh, it's time for me to do the presentation,
Yes
right?
ma'am. Yes
Okay.
ma'am.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Salma. Well, I try to share my screen first, right?
Yes ma'am.
Mm. Oh, sorry. Sometimes it's hard for me to. I repeat to share the screen. Mm, mm, Okay. Okay, Salma, can you see my
Yes,
slides?
yes, ma'am. Uh,
Uh,
but
okay,
it is not full screen.
okay, okay. So now, can you hear my voice?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let me do the presentation. Well, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Rita Indrawati. I'm from Sriwijaya University, Palembang, Indonesia. I teach literature in the LT classroom, also academic writing for paragraph, essay, and also article. So far, I have done some research with other countries, like with Australia and America. So we focus on the teachings of literature and the teaching of literacy, also PISA, and I also English lecturer of Sriwijaya University. So far, I am the in reviewer of some journals in Indonesia and one from uh, abroad. I mean that from other country. And so far, I just got some achievement that I would not like to tell you. Yeah, at least it is only the brief introduction from me. Okay, let me sharing with you about article writing. So the titles of my presentation is Metamorphosis Writing for Article Publication. So before that, I would like to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here at the Institute of Global Professionals. Yes. Well, in this occasion, allow me to share my knowledge and experience, of course, regarding academic writing. Okay, you know the title, this one, Metamorphosis Writing for Academic for Article Publication. And here, I would like to continue the presentation. This one, why? Why metamorphosis? Look at this beautiful adult butterfly. Her adult shape happened in a cycle to be adult. Well, the process from you see here from egg and then go to larva to pupa, and then pupa become the transform into butterfly and then to adult butterfly. Well, it is the analogy of metamorphosis writing. Academic writing cannot be done by jumping suddenly from one sentence to another sentence. It also needs a long process, of course. I call the long process is metamorphosis writing. So here is the process of the metamorphosis writing. It starts from topic and then go to develop into topic sentence. You can see there. After that, we can write a paragraph, then an essay. Finally, we write the article. So it is from the single topic. From the single topic, we make into articles. So how come? Here, let's see the process of the metamorphosis of writing. We must here negotiate the topic first. In order to write the first writing, we have to negotiate the topic. So the topic must be simple and interesting, and you know exactly about the topic. Okay, so it's easy for you to write, and then you write the academic writing in 7 up to 10 minutes. You can write everything, one paragraph only. So it is just the beginning. Say it is your first draft. Facebook is the most popular social network, blah, blah, blah. So, however, when you read here, there is no reasons, there is no examples of this first draft. Okay, so a good paragraph at least is developed by argumentation and example. So in this first draft, we didn't see anything about reasons and example. It is just the first writing of someone. Yeah, here my students, of course. Okay. So here is the paragraph. I would like you to compare with your first paragraph with this paragraph. It is paragraph model I got from Oshima and Hope. So it is the very best paragraph, academic paragraph. You can pay attention to the phrase or the sentences which are written in different color, because you know that it is the paragraph model. So you can follow or imitate the template of writing. For the beginning, it is just the example. Okay, you can write by using this template. So you can focus on color, the colors, yeah, the right, sorry, the sentences or the phrase that are colored with different color here. Okay, here it is, the paragraph metamorphosis. So draft by draft is done by the student. So try to imitate the paragraph model. Okay, so draft 2, you can see here the second draft, the writer edit conclusion, but the first draft there is no conclusion. So you can see the progress from the first and the second after the writer look at the paragraph model. So there is an additional that you can find here, that it is conclusion edited by the writer. Okay, now please place, for example, it is your paragraph. You have the draft. Your draft here, you place the draft next to the paragraph model. So you can observe clearly what to do with your draft. So the fourth draft here, yeah, the fourth draft here then done by a student contain arguments and examples. So I never taught my students by giving them the theory of writing, but let them to practice by imitating for the first time. Okay, so you can see that the students' fourth draft contain arguments. You can see that I show with the arrow and also the example. So at least a single paragraph contain arguments and examples. So here it is the paragraph writing metamorphosis. You see that? It is closed, yeah, by that one. Okay, let me, okay. It cannot be closed. It is closed by the stop sharing. So it is written there, the first metamorphosis paragraph. So it is written drafting, yeah, by drafting draft one and then continue to second draft, the third draft, even until the fourth draft. So the fourth draft is the best paragraph that the student write. So again, I would like to tell you that the metamorphosis writing that I mentioned in my presentation is start with the paragraph writing. So it is the first metamorphosis writing. Well, it is the characteristic of a good paragraph. You can see that the paragraph I took that from Oshima and Hope book. So you can see here, not I divided, but they divided into a topic, supporting point, supporting details, supporting point two, and then supporting details and conclusion. It is not enough without any unity and coherence. We can see that the unity of this paragraph, because the paragraph talk only two important characteristics, and as a whole, this paragraph contain only two things. The first one is about the beauty of gold, and the second one about the utility of the gold itself. So as a whole, the paragraph is unity, and the coherence you can see from the phrases that I colored with blue. It is they are the transition signals that make this paragraph have good coherence. Okay, the next, yeah, so the paragraph contain argumentation and examples also. So now here is another paragraph, yeah. So I would like to tell you that a good paragraph at least fulfill the criteria, the 5 criteria that I mentioned before. So now another examples of paragraph writing. If you know exactly how to write a good paragraph, to write paragraph correctly, you can jump from jump from the first draft to the next draft. So at least we can see that the students are good at organization. Don't care of the don't care of the grammar at the first time. Let the student, let you yourself, yeah, as the audience here, write without thinking of the mistake that you made. What is important that you can write, you can organize your paragraph. It is the most important thing. Later on, you can check the grammar by using grammar checker and so on and so forth. Yeah, so don't think of the grammar first, but focus on the organizations of the paragraph. And in order to check whether you have include all the things, these 9 questions help you to uh, to tell you that your paragraph has contained these 9. Yeah, so you answer these questions by checking your paragraph. If your paragraph contains these 9 questions, it means that you have built a very good paragraph. Even though your grammar is still not so good, it's okay. It is later on you can do that. The next is we can continue after we know exactly how to write a single paragraph. We can continue to write essay because the essay is built from the best paragraph that you have by adding what we call with argumentation, the second argumentation. They are direct quotation and indirect quotation, including paraphrase and summary. Beside this direct quotation and indirect quotation, we need also statistic data. Okay, it is for essay. So we need more than uh, examples and arguments. After that, we have the paragraph. Yeah. Again, we get the paragraph as the adult butterfly. Okay. In order to develop our essay, we need more sources from books, journal, or periodical, encyclopedia, newspaper, and Google Scholar in order to avoid plagiarism. So nowadays, plagiarism is very easy to find. Yeah, there are so many. So we have to control the plagiarism by using the strategy. I mean that the strategy by using statistic where the statistic can be the ready-made that we can find in websites. Okay, for example, we are going to write about Instagram, and then we would like to get statistic from website about the user of Instagram in 2020, for example. So we can find the ready-made uh, statistic from website. Another statistic we can create by ourselves after we have the data from our research. And the second strategy is quotation. So here I would like to tell you the quotation, the direct quotation, and the indirect quotation. The direct quotation, in the direct quotation, it means that no changes at all. How come? If our writing, most of our writing contain direct quotation, so it is plagiarism, okay? Even though you mentioned the names of the writer, for example. So we have to avoid using direct quotation. It's better for us to use indirect quotation, and the way we quote indirectly by paraphrasing and summarizing. So it is, yeah, these two strategies are very important in our writing academically. So look at this second metamorphosis. That is the metamorphosis from paragraph to essay. So this one, the paragraph. So how come we develop this paragraph into essay? So we write this paragraph into 4 parts like this. So this is the first part of the essay that we got from the topic of the paragraph. And then the second part we take from the second controlling idea of the paragraph. So we use blanks. Okay, after that we have the blank. And then the third paragraph of the essay we got from the second important thing of the goal. And the last part is the conclusion. So in order to develop essay from paragraph, we have to write the positions of the sentence like this, yeah? So at least we have 4 paragraphs for our essay. Okay, look at this paragraph, this example I got from my class. Yeah, before COVID-19, Facebook become one of our media to keep the students academic writing. Also, our class also in the Facebook, yeah. Sometimes we do it synchronously, sometimes asynchronously. So this one, the paragraph. Look at the student develop the paragraph, become the essay, okay, by adding, you see here, the red color sentences. The red color sentences were added by the students by taking from Google Scholar. And I taught them how to find the quotation, the clear or the precise quotation similar to what we are going to write here, yeah. And then it is the statistic data that was got from internet, from website. Okay, so the green sentences, it is the informations about the statistic data. So the data must be described here. And this one, the paragraph to the first draft of essay. You can see here that it is longer after become the essay. However, here the students still make mistake in quotation. So in quoting someone, for example, we have only used the last name. However, here the student use the full name, yeah. But it is again the first draft. Okay, after the first draft, the student write the second draft, the third draft, and the last draft. I don't know exactly how many times they can get the draft into the best one. Okay, talking about quotation, it is easy, but sometimes people still make mistake in doing the quotation. For example, the quotation from Kauchak and Friends. So the direct quotation, we can do two kinds of direct quotation. The first one, we use quotation mark because the data that we got from someone's article, for example, only around 3 lines. So it must be quoted by using quotation mark. However, if it is more than 3 lines, so the quotation must be kept in different paragraph, like the example here. However, for this indirect quotation, I type in red, so meaning that it is false. Why false? Even though the example has used the word that in order to say that it is indirect quotation. However, I said that it is still wrong. Why? Because the original text, that there is no changes at all. You can see here that. So from the word individual computer up to worldwide, it is just the same as the word or the sentences from Kauchak, Egan, and Carter. Therefore, we need to help, yeah, ourselves, sometimes our student, if you are a teacher, to do the indirect quotation correctly. Well, it is the paraphrasing. You know that in writing academically, we need to paraphrase all the time. So not only paraphrasing, but also summarizing. Okay, let me tell you, how do we paraphrase the original sentence that we are going to use in our own article. For example, here, language is the main means of communication among people. So it is unacceptable if only one word is changed. The word main is changed to be principal. So it is unacceptable. It is still plagiarism. So the acceptable one, you can see here, there are many different words. Okay, so many different words. For example, from the original, we use people. However, the acceptable one, we change the word people into humans, the word communication into communicate, so different parts of speech, and the prominent is change the word main, okay, and tool change the word means. And beside the vocabulary, in order to paraphrase well, we have to change the sentence structure, the grammar. I mean, yeah, the sentence structure. Yeah. For example, in the original, it becomes the object, and then the acceptable one, it becomes the subject. Okay, something like from passive to active. From simple sentences, we change into uh, complex sentences, and so on and so forth. And another one, we can also use summary. Yeah, sometimes, for example, we think that we have to use summary. Yeah, from the original text to our own writing. It's okay. However, you have to see here the length of sentences from the original text is longer than summary. Yes, that's correct. Because in summarizing, we have to read more than two, more than twice. Yeah, two times. Twice, I mean, we read the original text until we really understand the contents of that original text. After we know exactly the content, try to close. Do not see anymore the original text. Go to summarizing by remember what you know about the original text. Therefore, the summary is shorter than original text. It is different from the paraphrasing. The paraphrasing, because when paraphrasing, people will see all the time the original text, and then they try to change all or around 60% of the words used in the original text to be another one. Okay, I repeat. So around 60% of the words used in the original text must be changed by using another words. Therefore, we need the strategy how to find the synonymous word easily. Later on, I will tell you about that. Okay, now after paragraph to essay and then essay to article. So I would like to remind you that it is the single topic, only from one topic. So from one topic, it can be paragraph and then essay, and the last is article. So here is the metamorphosis of article. So in order to get good article, we start from essay, and do not forget to use the argumentation 1 and 2. Argumentation 1 only for paragraph, and argumentation 2 for essay, but for the whole thing, for essay and for article, both argumentation 1, yeah, something like here, you can see in argumentation, we have reason and example, and argumentation 2, we have direct quotation, indirect in terms of paraphrasing, summarizing, and also statistic data. So we need that one. Another thing that we need in order to write article, we need some application that provided by Google, for example. So my student use Google Scholar, Google Translate, Google Checker, grammar checker, plagiarism checker, Mendeley system, and APA style. in order to write the writing. So they use that one. This application helped them to write easily article writing. Okay, now, which one do you prefer? Metamorphosis 1 or Metamorphosis 2? Both are correct, yeah? For example, you start to write your paragraph about handphone. So the essay will be about the communication tool. And in order to write the article, your title will be the use of ICT in language education. Similarly, in Metamorphosis 2, for example, you write about Instagram for paragraph. And for essay, you have to write the uses of Instagram. And in article, you will write the use of Instagram for writing publication. Here is the examples of that one. So now look at the metamorphosis from paragraph to essay and writing. An article, I mean. So this one, the paragraph, you see, only one paragraph. And then this one, the template for essay. And for article, we need more subtitle like this. Yeah, we develop the article from essay by giving the subtitle. The first subtitle is introduction in order to introduce, to give the general idea for the essay. Okay, so this one, it is the introduction. So these sentences in in this introduction must be developed by, for example, quoting theory, quoting articles that really help to make a good introduction. And the next subtitle is The Beauty of Gold, because the second paragraph of essay is about the lustrous beauty of gold. So this one about the beauty of gold, and then you have to add some other articles to develop this second paragraph, the second part of article. And the third part of this article is the usefulness of gold. So from this sentence, from these sentences, we can develop this one. And we only talk about the usefulness of gold. And then we go to the last is the conclusion. Okay, so before, here is the conceptual paper. So at least you know how to write the conceptual paper. It doesn't mean that we cannot submit the conceptual paper to some journal. If you can write it well, you can write very well about the conceptual paper. So the publisher, I mean that the editor will accept the conceptual paper. Now, because we talk about article-based paper, so how come this conceptual paper later on become the research-based paper? So we need this one. We have to think the precise method of research. What method of research which is appropriate for our conceptual paper. So later it is Dr. Amitabh will talk about the method of research. So later we can listen, yeah, we can hear from him. So writing is ready for the publication. I would like to remember something important for all of us, me too. For high-quality journals, its contribution should not be focused on practical application locally. They will not accept if the content, the contribution is local practical application. This must be focused on theoretical contribution. Remember that. So the theoretical contribution will be well accepted by the editor by adding some new or different above what have been discovered by the previous researchers throughout the world. Okay, so it must be kept in the introduction. So here in introduction, the most important thing that you have, it should contain state of the art. It is the latest development in the research topic, synthesis of relevant previous research finding, research gap, novelty, and burning issue. If you have these all in the introduction, the editor will welcome your article. Yeah, don't forget about the novelty, the research gap, and the introduction need more elaborations about the present study, primarily synthesis from the finding regarding these issues, the previous findings regarding these issues. And in order to complete the metamorphosis of writing, we need Google Translate, we need plagiarism checker, grammar checker. Google Translate is used not to translate, but to find synonymous word. So in order to make it easy to do paraphrasing and summarizing, we need Google Translate to find synonymous word from the original text to our own writing. So we need Google Translate to find it words. And here the plagiarism checker, sometimes it is not so valid, yeah, to check the plagiarism in, for example, it is in smallshitool.com. Sometimes we think that, yes, it is around 7% the similarities. But in fact, if we use another one, another plagiarism checker like Authenticate and Turnitin, we can find that there are many similarities. We can find the similarities very high. And the grammar checker as the last. Yeah, we can use application grammarly.com. Okay, it is the metamorphosis writing for publication. We have to write. We have to be in front of the laptop. So we have good thinking, and then it is easy for us to write later on. Okay, so it is the long process of writing. So from topic, go to the topic sentence, the paragraph, essay, and then article draft, and then the last is the draft. So it is the phase of the metamorphosis writing. So from paragraph to essay and then to article. So beautiful adult butterfly as good academic writing. So you can see that the adult butterfly, the analogy of our good paragraph, and the beautiful adult butterfly for essay. Okay, if we can write it well, we do the metamorphosis of writing very well, so we can find our essay very good, as beautiful as adult butterfly, and so as the article. So our writing will be very interesting and beautiful in writing because we really do the long process. And it is the last from me. Let's change from pupa through continuous phase to be beautiful butterfly. Let's write from free writing through sustained writing process to be good article. Thank you for your attention. I think that's all from me.
That's amazing, madam. We are obliged to you for your marvelous presentation and giving us your valuable time. This session will be effective for our audience because you shared your intelligible knowledge with us. Thanks for enlightening us with your pulse of wisdom, for your precious time, for your knowledge. It will be effective for our audience because you shared your insight on our writing article. Sometimes we don't understand how to write and what step we have to be write in article writing. First, we have to practice the metamorphosis from paragraph to essay, then article. So one word just touched my heart. That's beautiful adult butterfly as good academic writing. No doubt our viewers will be benefited today by the awareness they received taught your technique. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your
Mhm.
valuable time and sharing your knowledge with us today. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So it's time to move our next speaker, Dr. Amita Vikram. Before moving to our next speaker, once again, I want to remind you all, please support us with your share tag, comment, and mention your friends. We will give the e-certificate link in the comment box, and if you face any problem, you can collect e-certificate direct from our website www.eduigp.com. And after collecting your e-certificate, don't forget to celebrate with IGP by checking. Our next speaker is Amita Bikram Dwivedi, is a Harvard University certified in the art of writing and public speaking, and university faculty specialized in linguistics and literature in the School of Language and Literature at Sri Matha Vaishno Devi University, India. His research interests include language documentation, writing descriptive grammars, and preservation of rare and endangered language in the South Asia. The National Digital Library of India, Indian Minister Human Resource Development featured his 19th lecture in the public document. So the UNESCO Atlas of World Language in Danger refers to his two works on the Badawahi language at his official website. His published books are found in the libraries of University of Stamford and Princeton. He has contributed numerous papers to many science, Citorius Index and Scopus Journal, and contributed more than 180 research chapters to knowledge research. Uh, so, his most recent books are A Grammar of Saraji, uh, Dogri, and Dislikes. So, please give a warm welcome to our next speaker, Amita Bikram, sir. Hello, sir.
Hi, Salma. Thank you for your kind introduction, and I welcome all the participants who have joined this session. And as you know, that I'm going to talk about research writing and how to write research paper. So let me share my screen, and yes. So I hope all of you are able to see the slide.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is the title of my presentation: research methodology and writing research paper. And when we look at this word research methodology, then we find that research is looking into carefully again to what some previous researchers has already been done. So research is not a sort of innovation that you are doing or something out of the blue that you are doing, but research is again looking into carefully on a topic, and you are looking carefully something that has already been done. So you need to just give your relevant input in the research and your work is done. And when we talk about research, then automatically a word comes into our mind, that is methodology. And methodology deals with the scientific study. So when I talk about scientific study, then do not confuse with the hardcore science like chemistry, physics, or mathematics, but it is an objective study. So research methodology, we carefully do a search. We study and examine on a particular topic. We follow some set of procedures. We collect information, and then we do a research. Now, when you write a paper, then you are also into research methodology. When you are writing an article or an essay, then you are also into research methodology. When you are uh, doing a PhD, a dissertation, then you are also into research methodology. So it is not the case that you are writing an essay, you are writing an article, and there is no methodology in that. There is very much a methodology that you find. So there are these four standard definitions of research. So what it says, definition one said that research is defined as the creation of new knowledge. Now, it should not happen that your research is a copy of a research. It should not happen. You just give your input to the research. That means you need to do something new in your research writing. A very little contribution, but something new you are going to give. How you can give? When you have a careful consideration of study and you use some scientific method for your research. Then when you collect some data, then you use some methodology, you apply some systematic procedure, and you add to the knowledge of the world. So in a research, you are doing something carefully, diligently. You are doing a studious inquiry or examination. You collect information about a particular subject. So you must be very careful that first thing is research is a disciplined activity. So this word disciplined is very important. It is not the case that today you are conducting a research and tomorrow you will have a complete paper. This will not happen. So you need to do consistently and carefully your research diligently, and then you will have some published work. So it is not an overnight process that you just do and the research is done. It is not the case. That you need to remember that it is a very studious and a disciplined activity. So why do we do research? Because we want to increase the stock of knowledge. And how we can increase the stock of knowledge? By conducting a research and use our creativity through some systematic work. So these three are the general procedures of any research, irrespective of the fact whether you are writing an essay, you are writing an article, you are doing a PhD. This is the general procedure that you must raise a question. Then based on that particular question, you need to answer those questions. So you collect data to answer that, and then finally, based on your data, you present an answer to that question. So this is generally the set procedure in any research that you have. So another word generally is used for research, that is inquiry. Now why do we use this word inquiry? Because research is guided by carefully reasoned and interesting questions. This word interesting question is important, because you should not raise a question or you should not answer the question that has already been answered. Because if you are raising the same question that has already been answered, that means your research is a copy of a copy. Your research is a plagiarized research. That is not an original research. So when someone says that one must use you use intelligent questions, one must use interesting questions, that means one must pose questions which are not answered previously. So those questions you need to raise. At the same time, research is an objective and scientific activity. So we just need to put our expectation, beliefs, biasness, prejudice aside. Right. So we cannot do away with our prejudices. We cannot do away with our beliefs. That is for sure. But once you are conducting a research, then you must do away with your prejudiced behavior and your biasness. That is one thing. So we begin our research projects with a question and an open mind. So you have some question and you have some problem statement, and that problem statement becomes your motivation. That's why you are conducting a research, and then you are into the field. But there are certain pitfalls that you need to understand. And what are those pitfalls? So when you pose a question, then these pitfalls like inaccurate observations, overgeneralizations, selective observation, and illogical reasoning. Now these are basically pitfalls when you raise a question. If these things are there, then you can't pose a good, interesting, intelligent question. So how can you raise intelligent question? That is also a matter of concern. When you raise a question, you need to cross question that whether I am exhausting all the WH or not. So first thing is that you need to exhaust all the WH. And what are all the WH? Why, when, how, where, what. And you can also raise a question using auxiliaries. That is also a possibility. So now this is one thing. Second thing is that you need to ask all types of questions. So descriptive questions you need to ask. You need to ask scaled question like a Likert type questions, or yes no type questions, or four objectives are given, that type of questions. You must raise direct question, open-ended questions, and you must raise overarching question and subordinate questions. So at least related to that topic, you must ask intelligent question and you must raise all sort of questions. Now, these four words, they are closely associated with research methodology, and they are also very much associated with writing research paper. First thing is assumption, hypothesis, variables, and concepts. Now, there is no much difference between assumption and hypothesis. The only difference is that hypothesis is the testable version of a proposition. Proposition is a statement. You are making a statement. I will give you example that how you can raise a hypothesis. An assumption is untested starting point or belief in a theory that is necessary in order to build a theoretical explanation. So when you start conducting a research, you have a question, and that question is based on some assumption. That assumption is not tested, and when that assumption is tested, then it will become the hypothesis. Later on, you can modify your hypothesis, you can correct your hypothesis, you can nullify your own hypothesis. And there are some variables. So simply defined, a variable is a concept that varies. So lots of variables you will find, and we will discuss what type of variables do we have in a research. And concepts are the building block. So you have some result, and you want to show that result and how that result is helpful in forming a theory. So that type of thing is also associated. So these are conceptual words, abstract word, but I'll give you some examples so that these words or the meaning of these words will become clear. So first thing that we have discussed, that we need to avoid inaccurate observations, overgeneralization, selective observation, and illogical reasoning. So let's assume a situation that you are into a research and you are observing language use. So let's say you are working on the English language, and then you will collect some data related to English language. Like what type of data you can collect? You can just start collecting, let's say, how the noun phrases are formed in the English language. I'm just giving you one example. People have done this type of research, but in order to make you understand that how you can form a hypothesis or how you can avoid these pitfalls and how can you test your hypothesis and refine them, that's why I'm taking a very common examples, because all of us, we have been studying English language for, let's say, past many years, and we are well versed in that. So let's say we are observing language use, and we have only these two data. What is the two data that we have? We have these two phrases, a good man and a dead tree. Only the two data, like these two phrases we have. And we want to form a hypothesis based on this, a good man and a dead tree. So what type of question will come into our mind? Let's say we are working on and so we will question, do adjectives precede noun? Because what is happening here, man is a noun, tree is a noun, good is an adjective, and dead is also an adjective. So what is happening here, that adjective precedes noun. Good and dead adjectives, they precede noun. So we can raise the question, do adjectives precede noun? So this is our assumption. Now this is our assumption, it is not testable. So do adjectives precede noun? Our question is based, the initial question, the first question is based on our assumption. We have looked at this data and we are assuming, do adjectives precede noun? So, but we observe more data, then what happened? The man is good, the tree is dead. Now what is happening here? Now here, adjective is not preceding noun, but adjective is following noun. So man is the noun, then you have an auxiliary, and then you have adjective. So again, like, so the answer, do adjective precedes noun? The answer will be no. That is not the case, because we have observed more data. So observing more data is important. So when you conduct a research, then that data must be not from a very small group. You need to take exhaustive data. So that is, so here what is happening, adjectives do not precede the nouns they modify. We observe more data. Life, everlasting, mission, impossible. Impossible is again an adjective, everlasting is again an adjective. Now in this case, again, the adjective is following noun, not preceding noun. So we will refine our question. So our question, the initial question was based on an assumption, untestable assumption. When we observed more data, we discovered that our question was not correct. That was a bad question. We need to revise our question. Are adjectives used attributively, that means before noun, and predicatively, that means following a verb in English? So this question, now we have come to the refinement, and here this question is raised using auxiliary. ARE is an auxiliary. Now we'll observe more data. Court martial, attorney general, again these words. So we raise the question: is there any exception that we have uh, in this? So we can say a finite number of borrowed adjectives follow the noun they modify. So the court martial is from the French language, attorney general is again from the French language, and English has borrowed so many words, thousands of words from different languages. So here now we can say a finite number of borrowed adjectives follow the noun they modify. So this you can say that this final sentence, a finite number of borrowed adjectives follow the noun they modify, this will again the part of our hypothesis. And what will be the part of our hypothesis? We will write adjectives precedes and follows nouns, and we can also say a finite number of borrowed adjectives follow the noun they modify, because we have checked lots of data and then we have discovered this is the case. So this is starting from assumption, and how assumption helps us in forming a question. Then we observe more data. Then we find that, okay, our question is wrong. Our question is not framed correctly. Then we refine our question, and then again we formulate our hypothesis. Now the problem with assumption is like we have one background assumption and one tractable assumption. Now what is the difference between these two? So background assumption is like your raw assumption. It is not refined at all, and it will not lead to an argument. An argument is the very much central part of a research. Without an argument, there is no research. So argument is not like I had an argument with my colleague, not that type of argument, not that type of fight, but argument is related to the thesis statement that you have. So background assumption, and the difference between background assumption and tractable assumption is that background assumption does not lead to argument, whereas tractable assumption leads to an argument. I give you one very simple example. Now, example one, a 2.5-year-old child is not a fluent speaker of a particular language. Now, all of you must have seen, observed children growing in front of you, and you know this very well. A 2.5-year-old child is not a fluent speaker of a particular language. And if you simply say this and you are not adding anything to it, then it is a background assumption. Similarly, as a teacher, when you check the answer script of the students and you find that one student has scored 61%, another student has scored 57%, and you make this statement that the student who has scored 61% is an intelligent student, and the student who has scored 57% is an average student. So that type of is the background assumption, and if you are not saying anything, then it is simply a background assumption. There is no argument here. So tractable assumption is very much associated with an argument. So how you can develop an argument to ordinary things? Now this is a very ordinary thing. A 2.5-year-old child uses words or phrases more than a complete sentence. So how can you add argument? You can say a child uses one word construction more, a child uses monosyllabic words more, child uses repetitive phrases more. And if you are saying these things, then you are adding an argument to your assumption. So your background assumption will transform into a tractable assumption when you add these type of things. Similarly, our second example, when you say that 61% scorer is a good student and 57% scorer is an average student, and you add that the student who has scored 61%, there is a good sentence construction, there is a good paragraph construction in that student's answer sheet, then it will become a tractable assumption, because you are arguing that why 61 is good and why 57. You are not simply making a judgment based on 61 and 57. So this is how you can make anything argumentative when you add something concrete to it. It is not simply a blank statement, a generalization, illogical reasoning you are doing. You are very well making a valid argument that why 61 is a good student and why 57 is. So there is the grammatically correct construction you find in 61. You will find good words that are used. There is no repetition of thought. There is no like similar kind of words that you find. So then you can say like 61 is a good student. So now we proceed further. So we have seen that we have two approaches to collecting and analyzing data. So one approach is a mixed approach, and mixed approach is also known as triangulation approach. So you mix quantitative as well as the qualitative method simultaneously. When you use both the methods in a research, nowadays we use both the methods in a research. So it is not the case like in an armchair in your own personal comfort you are doing the research. That is not the case. You go to a field, you collect data, and you also apply some theory. So both the things you do simultaneously, and that is basically known as triangulation approach. So you conduct a survey nowadays, like Google form we have, so we can conduct a survey very easily. There is no problem. We can conduct an interview also. You can watch already recorded interview on YouTube. That can also become a basis of your findings. So all such things you can do. So what is the difference between these two types of method? So you have a quantitative, that means structural features are analyzed, and in qualitative, procedural aspects are analyzed. Now we will see this with one example, that what is the difference between qualitative and this quantitative thing. Now let's say we have this sample. The sample is a talk, a conversation between a mother and a 2.5-year child. Now what is this conversation? The conversation goes like this. C is for child and M is for mother. What child is saying? Daddy is coming down too. Now mother is asking, who is coming down to? Child, daddy. Mother, daddy? No. Where is daddy? Child, me want daddy come down. So again, the child is not saying, I want that daddy should come down. Child is saying, me want daddy come down. Mother is saying, working sweetie. That means he is working sweetie. Child is saying, no, no, find her checkbook. Now find her checkbook. The child is using a wrong pronoun. Find, like he is finding his, or like he is searching his checkbook. That type of construction child wants to make. Mother is saying, finding her checkbook. Now mother is simply assisting the child. Mother knows that the construction is incorrect, but mother is not correcting, simply assisting in the child language, because mother knows very well that child or children, they have different type of syntax, and gradually they pick up the language, and they start speaking correct, proficient and fluent language by the age of 3.5 or 4. Now this data we have actually. Now how can we analyze this thing? So this data, a very simple conversation that we have. So here we can see that child is repeating certain words like daddy is coming down, then daddy, then again the daddy, fine. So that type of thing we have. Then the construction is child knows the tone. So daddy, like child is saying, we have a mark of question mark. No, where is daddy? So child knows how to form a question here in this. So now how we can analyze such type of thing? So what we will do, what is our observation after looking at this data? So first we make our observation. We will make our observation that mother is linguistically more competent. So it is a known fact that an adult is a more competent in English, in any language, than a child. It is a known fact. So this is simply a factual thing that we are writing. Mother is linguistically more competent. Then if we are applying the quantitative method, then we look for certain patterns or sequences in the text, if we are doing that. Or if we are analyzing qualitatively, then we analyze the text with regard to its main characteristics or qualities. So that type of thing that we have, that what is the quality wise and the quantity wise. That means like structure we will analyze, or the quality of the text that we will look at. Let's say we are going for the quantitative method of analyzing it. So how we will do? So we will just count the words. So daddy is coming down to, the counts the word that the child is using. So in the first utterance, child is using 5 words. In second utterance, child is using 1 word. In third utterance, child is using 5 words. In next utterance, child is using 6 words. So total number of words used by child 17 and number of utterances in this conversation 4. So what we will calculate mean length of utterance. So that is 4.25. So when we do this type of thing, then it is the part of actually quantitative thing that we are doing. And when we observe or when we say the child is using more repetitive words, or when we say child is using more question construction, or when we say child is confusing with the pronouns, that is the part of qualitative. Fine, so this is a difference that you need to make. Now we will understand when we write a paper, then certain things are important. What are those things? The things are like research question. We have seen like how we can formulate a research question based on our assumption. At the same time, how we can refine our questions, and based on that question we can pose research objectives. Fine, and then we can also formulate a hypothesis. Now these are the topics of some of the students who have already done their research under my supervision. So like one such student who has completed the work, that is analysis of BICA, BICS and CALP distinction amongst the student of Sri Mata Vaishno Devi University. BICS is basic interpersonal communication skills and CALP is cognitive academic language proficiency. So CALP is related to writing and BICS is related to speaking. That is the difference. So that type of research they have conducted. Another type of students, they have conducted a research like they can, here we are also seeing that how the titles are different. So the title one, it provides an additional context as well as the research site. Title 2 is provocative and imaginative. Listen to what I say, not how I look. Can we make public sphere a safe place for women? That type of research you can have. Then you can have a place where you mention specifically the geographic scope, the language of WhatsApp messages, a linguistic analysis of Sri Mata Vaishno Devi University students' chats. Then in your research, you can also mention the temporal scope in the title, a diachronic study of Hindi locative expressions, like one of my research scholars is working on that topic. Then again, you have discussed some theories, ideas. For example, discourse analysis of Hindi daily soap, Sumit Samal Lega. So it is based on a particular individual or a particular work. So that type of titles that we have. Now, what we are doing, we are taking into consideration title number 1, analysis of BICS CALP distinction amongst the students of Sri Mata Vaishno Devi University. So this is our title. And when we try to form the research objectives, then you need to remember that research objectives generally they start with the preposition to. So to examine the theoretical background of BICS and CALP, because BICS and CALP are theoretical model given by Cummins. So that's why we can examine that thing. To find out the difference between BICS and CALP amongst the students of Sri Mata Vaishno Devi University, there is a difference. So we can find out what is the difference amongst the students. Then to find out the linguistic features in the use of spoken and written language, to study how the knowledge of BICS and CALP can help improve students' performance in academics. So you can see that after 2, we have used different words. We have used at one time we have used examine, another word we have used find out, another type of word we can use to explore, another type of word is to study. So you need to use different words. You are writing objectives, they start with 2, but the verb will be different. So you can just raise 4, 5 objectives. And based on these objectives, you can formulate a question. And you know that question starts with a WH word or an auxiliary and ends with a mark of interrogation. So it should not happen that you are writing a statement and considering that as a question. That should not happen. So now what is the statement? What is the hypothesis that you will make? So the thesis statement becomes the study examines a significant difference in spoken and written language used by the students of Sri Mata Vaishno Devi University, while highlighting the linguistic features and how the knowledge of difference in BICS and CALP can help improve in academics. So this is like a very statement. A statement must be like a statement. So you can see like this is just one long sentence. Fine, 4-line sentence that you have. So you can have a couple of sentences that will become your statement. So these are very much the part of, irrespective of the fact you are writing a short article, you are writing a research paper, or you are conducting a proper research like PhD. You must have a title, research questions, research objectives, then thesis statement or hypothesis. So these are very much the part of. So you will start thinking in these terms. When you think of a topic, then you need to think like, okay, if this is the topic, then what are my research objectives? If this is if these are research objectives, then what are my questions? So that type of thing you also need to keep in mind. Now, when you write a research paper, then abstract is very important. So we will start with a brief quiz that how you can write an abstract. So this word abstract comes from, the correct answer is Latin abstractum, which means a condensed form of a longer piece of writing. The abstract is the last item that you write. Now, many researchers, they have this misconception and they think that abstract is the first item they write. This is not the case. Research proposal is the first item that you write, but abstract is the last item, because abstract is a summary of your work. Abstract is a condensed, concise form of your research. You are just informing your audience about your research work. So that is the last item that you write, which works as an advertisement for your research writing. And the correct answer is abstract. What is the nature of an advertisement? Once you watch an advertisement, that advertisement is concise, crisp, and catchy and persuasive. So those elements you must include in your abstract as well. Why? Because when someone reads an abstract, and when someone is ensured, then the person will motivated to read your entire research or research paper. And most of the journals, they show at least free of cost the abstract. So if your abstract is appealing, persuasive, then any audience, any person will go from your abstract to the paper. And what is your aim? Your aim as a researcher is that many people must read my work. So it is not the case like I have done a research and then I will put this research in a shelf and then nobody will look at that. That is not the aim. So abstract must work as an advertisement for your research writing. Now, which one is not true for abstract writing? Now, generally, when we write academically, we must write in plain English. Now, what is the meaning of plain English? Plain English doesn't mean that you are writing childish English. That is not the case. Plain English means that you use technical terms less, you use jargons less. Why? Because you want that more people must read my research. And if technical terms and jargons are more in your academic writing, in your abstract, then audience will be dissuaded to read your work. At the same time, we do not use generally passive structure in an academic writing. We can only use passive structure in academic writing when we downplay the author. We do not want to mention I, we. Generally, we do not use personal pronouns in academic writing. So that is the one case. And you can use passive when you simply want to inform the audience about the experiment that you have conducted or a survey you have done. So then you can use passive structure. So the question is, what is not true for abstract writing must include referencing. Yes, referencing is not the part of abstract. In the body of the paper, you can use referencing in the form of in-text citation, in the form of footnoting that you can use. And at the end of the paper, you can also use references, that is allowed. But abstract must not include referencing. So what is an abstract? Abstract is a concise description about the research. And when it comes to word limit, then there is no consensus. So it varies. So let's say there is an institution that direct a student that you must write 200 word abstract for doctoral dissertation. There is very much a possibility. Then there is a journal. Let's say the journal requires that the researcher must write 25 to 50 words abstract. There is a possibility. And there are various institutions, they ask that one must write 100 to 500 words depending upon the journal's requirement. So we can't say that how long our abstract would be, because there is a variation journal to journal, institution to institution. You just need to follow the requirement of a particular journal, the requirement of a particular institution. So what are the do's for writing an abstract? So the do's, when it comes to do's, then sentences are unified, coherent, concise. Now you know that generally in an abstract you have one paragraph or sometimes two paragraphs, and paragraph is a stand-alone unit. but the sentences that are used in a paragraph, they are unified. That means one sentence is interconnected to other sentence. And how they are interconnected to each other? Through logical connectives. What are logical connectives? The words like and, also, however, moreover, as well as, these are logical connectives that you have. So you use these words so that one sentence is connected to other sentence in a standalone paragraph. And in academic writing, particularly when it comes to writing an abstract, you must use simple sentences, because what we have seen that we must use plain English for abstract writing. And if your sentence is complex, then you must go for a sentence that has only one subordinate clause, because there are complex construction where one main clause and two three subordinate clauses. So you should not do that type of thing. Either use only simple sentences, and if you use complex construction, then one main clause and one subordinate clause. So what do we have in an abstract? The things that you have already done in your paper. So you have already mentioned in the introduction and body and conclusion part of your paper, and you are in your abstract simply summarizing that thing. One thing you need to remember, that you must not add new information to your abstract. Now researchers, because they do this activity in isolation, that writing an abstract is one thing and writing a paper is another thing. So sometimes what do? They make very tall claims in an abstract, and when someone reads the paper, that is not answered. Those claims are not answered actually. So you must not add new information, because what generally they do, they first write an abstract and then they write the paper, and then they do not modify the abstract. So they reverse the procedure, and that is wrong. And you must not do this thing. First you write the paper, and accordingly you write an abstract. Then abstract is understandable to a wide audience, that we have seen. And abstract oftentimes use passive verbs to downplay the author, we have also seen. So when you write an abstract, and it is not the case that you are writing an abstract only for a paper, but for any work, like for dissertation you will write an abstract, then for a short article you will write an abstract. So it's like a regular thing that you need to do. So there are 4 steps of writing an abstract. 4 steps are basically 4 headings, and your sentences in the abstract must correspond to these headings. What are they? Motivation, problem statement. That means there must be 1 or 2 sentences in your abstract that must correspond to motivation and problem statement. And what they are? Why do we care about the problem? There are lots of things in this world. There are lots of problems in this world. Why do you care about that specific problem? That you need to tell. What practical, scientific, theoretical, and artistic gap is your research filling? So research gap, I will tell you how to write a sentence related to research gap also. So that sentence must be there in your abstract, that what research gap, what new thing you are doing in your research. Then one sentence must correspond, one or couple of sentences must correspond to the method, procedure, and approach you have used. Then one or couple of sentences must correspond to result, finding, and product of your research. And one sentence must be the conclusion or implication of your research. You can also mention the scope of your research in an abstract, but the limitations you will generally write in the body of the paper. So these 4, 5, 6 headings, and certain sentences, 6 sentences, 5 sentences must correspond to these headings. So let's say we have this example of an abstract, and we will try to find out whether this abstract is written correctly or not. I am reading this abstract for you. The aim of this paper is to make a comparison between 2 female figures from 2 different religions. S1 is sentence 1. Vashti is one of the unsung heroines in the book of Esther in the Hebrew Bible, while Sita in the book of Ramayana is a revered female figure among Hindus. Sentence 2. The tales of these women seem to display similarity in the ideals they embody, and hence we endeavor to read them together. Sentence 3. We wish to explore the extent to which Vashti and Sita's tale of female courage and daring could inspire women today who continue to suffocate under oppressive patriarchal context. Sentence 4. This is relevant to the context of Botswana, where despite global efforts to bend gender-based inequality, women continue to be victimized. So as you can see, we have 5 sentences in this abstract. Now, these headings we have: motivation, problem statement, approach or methodology, results or finding, conclusion or implication. There is an order we need to follow. That means the first sentence must correspond to motivation. Second sentence must correspond to problem statement. Third sentence must correspond to approach or methodology. Next, result and finding, and last, conclusion and implication. So we need to follow this order. We will see whether this order is followed in this or not. The aim of this paper is to make a comparison between two female figures from two different religions. Now this can be this can't be a motivation that you have two female figures in two different religions. So what? So this is a motivation? No, this is also not a problem statement. So what is this? This is simply comparison that you are doing, and comparison falls under an approach. So that is a comparative approach that you are using. So you are using a sentence that should be technically in the third place, but you are using it first. Now, second, Vashti is one of the unsung heroines in the book of Esther in Hebrew Bible, while Sita in the book of Ramayana is a revered female figure among Hindus. What type of sentence is sentence 2? It is neither problem statement, not motivation, neither approach, nor result, nor conclusion. So that type of sentence must not be the part of your abstract. This is simply an extension of one, because in sentence 1 you have mentioned two female figures. In sentence 1 you have mentioned two different religions. So now you need to just write about them. So you are writing. Now what about sentence 3? The tales of these women seem to display similarities in the ideals they embody, and hence we endeavor to read them together. Reading them together, two texts, two persons, you are reading them together, then it is again a comparison. And when you compare two things, then you will find certain similarities and you will find certain differences. So what is this sentence 3? Sentence 3 is again methodology or approach, that you have used comparative approach. So you can see like 3 sentences and so many words we have wasted only for approach. And again, we are not maintaining the order. Sentence 4, we wish to explore the extent to which Vashti and Sita's tale of female courage and daring could inspire women today who continue to suffocate under oppressive patriarchal context. Yes, this is a problem statement, and that can become your motivation as well. But it comes at number 4. So this is the problem, that you are not maintaining the order. Now the last sentence, this is relevant to the context of Botswana. This is the research site. Botswana is your research site, where despite global efforts to bend gender-based inequality, women continue to be victimized. So this is your conclusion and implication. So sentence 5 is okay, but rest of the things you can see like in disorder. So what we can do, first we will look at the research gap, because there is no sentence related to research gap. No one is going to know that what previous researchers they have done. So how can you write a research gap? Now again, this is from a published work, and I will show you like what type of sentence can become, what type of construction can become an example of indicating research gap or filling research gap. Now what the writer is writing, the Twilight Saga has captured the imagination of millions of people worldwide, transcending cultural, national, and linguistic barriers. It is a very general statement without any fact and figures. So it's like it is based on common understanding that Twilight Saga has captured the imagination of millions of people worldwide. It is true, because I have also watched Twilight Saga, all 4 movies, and I expect that some of you must have watched Twilight Saga. So we know that it has captured imagination of millions of people worldwide, transcending cultural, national, and linguistic barriers. Fine. Now the writer has a technique that writer is raising a question. Now this is actually not the part of an abstract, so don't confuse this thing with an abstract. This is the part of an introduction basically, but I just want to show you that what type of construction, what type of sentences you must write to indicate research gap. So this is not an abstract, it is a part of an introduction. Remember this. So what writer is writing is, but how can this extraordinary popularity be explained? Now writer is raising a question, but writer is raising a question of what type? It is not a genuine inquiry question. It is a rhetorical question. That means writer is going to answer this question. So writer has used this strategy that my first sentence will be very general, and then I will raise a question, and then I will answer it. So writer is raising a question and answering. Over the years, the question has been posed often, and although the series has been analyzed from various perspectives, there is still no clear answer. Now there is still no clear answer, and this thing in the blue font is actually indicating the research gap. That why do I care to do a research on Twilight Saga? Because previous researchers, they have not provided a clear answer. That's why I am undertaking this research. Now, what writer is doing next? An argument commonly put forth states that Twilight Saga is the result of large marketing campaigns tailored to fit the sensibilities of vulnerable population, such as women and teens. Now, what type of argument is it? It is not an argument actually, it is illogical thinking. Writer is again doing this deliberately. Writer is writing as if it is an argument, but it is actually an illogical thinking that a movie became so huge hit because of the vulnerable population such as women and teens. Fine. So again, writer is making it as an argument, but it is not an argument. So what writer is doing in the next sentence? Yet uh, Click, Stevens, Aubrey, and Moravitz say this answer is biased and oversimplistic. So again, like, this is a way of like saying something very stupid and then writing and counter argument against it. So this is the way you should write, but you know how, what type of construction will be the part of a research gap. So this type of construction, like there is no clear answer, that type of thing must be the part of an abstract as well, without mentioning the name of the people and the year of publication, because this is the part of main paper. So you can use referencing in the main paper, but you can't use referencing in the abstract. You need to remember this. So this is the thing, and we looked at an abstract. So in the abstract, we have seen that uh, the abstract was not appropriate. At the same time, there were so many words misused. So what type of misuse that is? Like, we have in the actual abstract, we have 120 words, but when we revise it, we have only 60. So once you write an abstract, you must spend your words like currency notes. So in place of writing the aim of this paper is to make a comparison, you simply write the paper compares. In place of writing we endeavor to read them together. Fine. So what is we endeavor to read them together? You simply write we read them together. We wish to explore the extent to which. You uh, simply write like what you explore, or this paper explores, that type of thing you need to do. So you need to just cut the extra words, because the aim of this paper is to make a comparison. You are simply wasting your words, and you should not do that thing in an abstract. So we revise them. So what can be a problem statement? So problem statement will be like, despite global efforts to ban gender-based inequality, women continue to be victimized worldwide. So technically this type of sentence will be the first sentence. Then what you will write: the ancient tales of courage and daring of heroines may encourage the present day women facing patriarchal oppression. That will become your motivation. Then the approach, that the study is set in Botswana context and compares to heroine. Likewise, you need to write. So you need to follow the order. First, you write problem statement, then motivation, then approach, then result, conclusion, implication. Not like haphazardly you are writing whatever comes in your mind. At the same time, whatever you write, you can also check the readability of that particular text. For example, there is another abstract that we have, and we have applied fog gunning readability text to that. How you can apply? You can also apply, I will tell you. So ideal score for readability is 7 or 8. Now we will check what is the readability of this abstract. I am reading this abstract for you. Rape trials in India continue to subject female victims to archaic notions of shame and honor. Sentence 1. In a scenario where conviction rates are low, sentencing is a new type of stereotyping, and patriarchal structures in the criminal justice system lead to increasingly sexist results. Sentence 2. A system of guidelines is required to govern sentencing in this unregulated thicket of prejudices. Sentence 3. Now we will find like whether this abstract passes the readability text or not. So how many words are there? 59 words. How many sentences are there? 3 sentences. Next thing, you need to do a little bit of mathematics. Average sentence length is 59 upon 3, and it is 19.66. Words with 3 or more syllables, like continue is a 3-syllabic word, archaic 3-syllabic word, scenario 4-syllabic word, conviction 3-syllabic word. Likewise, you need to find the difficult words. So we have 13. So percent hard words will be 13 upon 59. 59 is total word count. It become 0.22. Now you need to do addition ASL plus PHW 19.88, and whatever the result will come after ASL plus PHW, you need to multiply it with zero point 0.4. And what is the score? 7.952. An ideal score for readability is 7 or 8. If it is below 7, then your text is easy to read. And if it is above 8, then it is a very difficult. So you need to just make your abstract, at least abstract, if not the entire paper. But you can apply this readability text to entire paper as well, between 7 and 8. Now, the problem arises that, let's say you are getting a score of 6, and how you can make it 7? That means you need to increase 3 syllabic word. Or if you are getting, let's say 9, then you can reduce the 3 or more syllabic words in an abstract. At the same time, you need to just cross check that how many sentences I can make. So sometimes, like you can make one sentence out of 2 using logical connectives. That is also a possibility. After all, your aim is to maintain the ideal score of readability. Now you will wonder that who will check this type of thing? Editors, they are very proficient. So their mind checks this type of thing. So when they read your abstract without applying this readability text, they know whether the text is a simple text or a difficult text. So it is not the case that you will think like, okay, who will do this mathematics, and I simply write and submit my paper. Then you will get rejection as well, that your paper has been rejected. So that type of thing is also there. So likewise, you can apply to any other text. Now, like I have applied to another text and I found that the readability is 8.5. So when it is more, then there is no problem. Like if it is not 8 and 8.5, then it is no problem, because you are doing an academic writing. So it is acceptable that the text will be a bit difficult. But if it is below 7, then it is an alarming state. So that means that you need to take care of. So when you write an abstract, and then certain things that you need to remember, that are the keywords, and keywords generally follow the abstract. So what are the things that you need to think of keywords? Certain research scholars, they have this misconception that the keywords are only the words that are the part of an abstract, or are those that are the part of the main paper. That is not the case. Keywords are actually natural language words. For example, I would like to find an article on rape. So what type of words will come into my mind? Violence, patriarchy, inequality, that type of thing, words will come into my mind. So similarly, these are natural words that you need to write 4 or 5 words according to the requirement. For example, the same abstract, and if we write Agni Pariksha, then someone who is not aware of Indian culture then will never know what is Agni Pariksha. Gender based violence, it is fine. Ram Sita, again, like Ram Sita are characters, but someone who is conducting a research in US will never type on Google Ram Sita to find a paper on women equality or gender based inequality. Similarly with Vashti. So what type of words are good for this type of abstract? Violence, inequality, patriarchy, victimization, oppression. If you write these type of words, then they are good words. So similarly, like once you conduct any other work, then again you need to take care of. For example, here, let's say if you have written a paper about the benefits of social media for people with anxiety. So what your keywords will be? Anxiety, social media. You have different type of social media: Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat. But among these three, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, we know that Facebook is more popular. So you will write Facebook first, then Twitter first, then Snapchat. So this thing you also need to maintain, that what will be the order of these 5-6 words. So this is for my presentation, and if you have any question or any doubt, you can raise your question and doubt, and I'll be happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you for your contribution. Thank you for your precious time, for your choco block timetable, and your knowledge will be effective for our audience because you shared your insight on research writing. Research is the way to express and establish our thinking with scientific methods. So your intelligible presentation and speech, it is really important for us, especially the new upcoming researcher and students. and I think our lovely audience got the important takeaways from you. Thank you so much, sir, for giving your valuable time and sharing your knowledge with us. Thank you, sir. It's time for quiz competitions. Please support us with your share, take, comment, and mention your friends. We will give the e-certificate link in the comment box, and if you feel any type of problem and you face any problem, you can collect e-certificate from direct our website www.eduigp.com. And after collecting your e-certificate, don't forget to celebrate with IGP by checking. So join quickly and invite your friends. Let's play together with lot of fun. Invite your friends, family, and play together. Now 93 participants are in our quiz competition. It's 95, 96. Please invite your friends and play together with lot of fun. It's 100. Our join at slido.com and our code is 102030. Is 120. That's great. 126. Please join with your full name and invite your friends and family. Play together and enjoy with us. It's 136, 38, 138, 139. Oh, so much participants. 140, 148, 151. Yes, Balvinder, Amir Khan, Joseph, Chegana. So lots of participants. 154. Please invite your friends and family. Play together and don't forget to share, comment, and mention your friends in our comment box. It's 160. Join at slido.com and our is 171. Please invite your friends with and family and play together with lots of fun and enjoy yourself. It's 174. Wow. It's 180 and so lots of participants and 184. Shalijan, then Len Rocheria, Cristiano, Saidono, 187. 189. Please invite your friends and family, play together, enjoy yourself. 194. Join us slido.com. Our pass is 102030. 196. 198 participants. 200. It's time for competition. So our first question is a book containing writing about facts, relevance, or information. And option is dictionary, atlas, biography, non-fiction book. And our right answer is dictionary 11%. Our right answer is second, non-fiction book. Now first is Jen. Our second question is a printed publication with folded unstapled sheet of paper. And option is magazine, newspaper, leaflet, booklet. Now waiting for right answer. Newspaper is 55%, magazine, and the right answer is newspaper. Congratulations. And our third question is the author purpose in writing refers to the different options, the different strategies he or she used to write, the intended use of piece of writing, the length of any type of writing, the method an author uses to achieve his or her goal. The right question is mm, the intended use of piece of writing, 42%. Joseph is the first, Rena, then Sadia. Our fourth question is annual publication with calendar of important dates and events. Options: newspaper, thesaurus, dictionary, almanac. And waiting for the right answer. It is the right answer. Last one. 72% almanac. And Joseph is the first trainer, then Fahim. Our fifth question, how many articles are in the Constitution? 14, 7, 10, or 9? Waiting for the right answer. Seven. The right answer is the 7. 11%. The first is Rena, then Joseph, that one. Okay. Sixth question, this template inside the writing of the Declaration of Independence. The crisis, the free common sense, Declaration of Right of Man. Which one is the right? And waiting for the right answer is common sense. 2% people are right. Our next question is to begin his career, how many times did Murray go taught his article before publication? 10, 20, 30, or 40? Which one? Time is running. And the right answer is 30. 32% people are right. Now it's time to next question. What do you call a daily or weekly publication that contains news, article, and current events? Encyclopedia, atlas, newspaper, periodical. And the right answer is, looking for the right answer, is newspaper. And 70% people are right. Now, next question. What were the article of Confederation? Options are first form of writing government for the USA, treaty that ended the Revolution War, the document that freed us from the English rules, the document that established free branch of government. Times is running, and the right answer is first form of writing government for the USA, and 28% people are right. The first one is Jan. Okay. Now our next question is why were the articles weak? They gave too much power to the federal government, the lack of strong central government, the lacked fiber, and they gave too much power to president. Time is running. Just quickly answer. And the right answer is they lacked a long, strong central government. 45% people are right. So our congratulations in major place competition winners are, are requested to contact our page inbox with your full name immediately that we can issue quiz competition certificate within time. Please, congratulations first, second and third quiz competition winners are requested to contact with us with full name in our page inbox. Congratulations first and second and third. I request you to contact our page inbox with your full name immediately that we can issue quiz competition certificate with time. So congratulations Dean Major, Zubi and Nicole. It's time for Q&A. Participants are requested to ask their questions in comment box. Please address speaker name. I think yes, participants. Dear participants, you are all are requested to ask your questions in comment box. Please Address speaker name with your comment. Dear participants, you all are requested to ask your questions in comment box and please address speaker name with comment with your questions. First question from Trace Lazilla. Is action research an effective type of research? Is action research an effective type of research for Dr. Bikram, sir?
Okay. So, action research is one type of research. I can't say like what's your actual question? Is action research an effective type of research? Yes. Um, I do not know like what efficacy you want to try to find out, because we have different type of researchers as well. So one type of research is action research, and I can only say that in the present time we are using triangulation method, and we try to incorporate both the qualitative and quantitative method. That means we are not simply relying on the theories posited by the previous researchers, and we are applying those theories to a particular text, but we also try to localize those things in our environment. For example, there is a feminist theory that you want to employ to a particular text. So you need to just find out what is the condition of women in my society, in my country, and how they are affected to that, or the issues that are raised by a person, let's say a feminist in Europe. Those condition and things are applicable to my conditions or not. So context, if you want to contextualize it, not simply theorize it, then obviously action research is an effective thing, and you just add both the things. You just need to make a balance between what is happening in your environment, in your scenario. It should not happen that someone who has theorized things in US or in Europe, and you are blindly following or try to just implement those things blindly in your country, in your context, because we know that situations, constitutions, they are quite different country to country, region to region. We talk about equality. We know that many nations, they do not have a democratic setup, and that type of thing, if it is not applicable in your country, then how those things are relevant. So you need to contextualize things, and then you make your research effective. So that is obviously, in that sense, action research or action research can become an effective research, that I can say.
Yes. Next question, the for Dr. Indrawati. What is the relevance of the metamorphosis writing to the 21st century, and what place does it have in world literature? Why should we encourage students to metamorphosis writing and publication? Questions for ma'am.
Okay, thank you for the question. Very good question and difficult question, I think. It is from Manolita Ramas Oliver. Yes, metamorphosis writing. It is the terminology I made from my research actually. So I can see that from writing the paragraph until writing the article, it seems to me that it is like it is the analogy to see the from the egg to be an adult butterfly. So it is what we call with the metamorphosis writing. As I said before, that academic writing cannot be suddenly, yeah, cannot happen suddenly. We have to write sentence by sentence. We start with a topic and then the topic sentence and then essay and then article. And yeah, for this 21st century learning, I think writing is a soft skill for our student. I think, yeah, it is very important for our student to know how to write. creative writing is okay and academic writing is very okay for this century. So yeah, you want to know why should we encourage the student to write metamorphosis writing? Yes, because early on, students think that writing is difficult. So by using by doing the process of metamorphosis in writing, so the student can gradually know that writing is not difficult because they know when to prolong the sentence and then they write the paragraph, continue to write the essay by default by using the argumentation one and argumentation two that I mentioned before. So again, it is uh, very important for us as teachers to encourage the student to write by following what we call it the metamorphosis. Again, I would like to say that it is the research gap that I found. Yeah, that non-lecturers or non-scholars said that writing is a metamorphosis, but I think that after knowing the theory of butterfly, I can say that writing similar to them. So I think it is the metamorphosis writing. Okay, I think it's okay for
Thank
me.
you, ma'am.
Yeah.
And now, next question is Janatul from Janatul. Please tell us about impact factor of journals. I think, sir, you can answer it.
I need to answer this.
Yes, sir.
Okay, like the top quality journals, they are generally fall under Web of Science. So if you go for journals, they are the part of Web of Science, then they are the top quality journals that you have. Then the second type of journals that you have, the Scopus indexed journal. So impact factor, if you are going for, then impact factor, now we use the H index in place of impact factor. We do not use impact factor, but generally we go for H index, and H index is an advanced a way of finding out the quality of the journal. So my suggestion is that focusing on impact factor is not a promising thing. You must go for H index thing. That is one thing. Second thing is, if you want to have a good publication, then go for a journal that are indexed and listed in Web of Science. So SCI journals, they are also known as SCI journal, and you find the list of those journals under Clarivate Analytics. So there is a website, Clarivate Analytics, under which you will find the journals. So there are lots of journals, and you have different categories: humanities, social sciences, and sciences, core sciences that you have. But it's not easy to publish in an SCI journal. And I must tell you that a good journal will never ask you for money. So remember this thing: a good journal, a best quality journal will never ask you for money. Uh, but there are certain journals, they, if they are not getting funding from some other sources, then they charge some money because they want to run the show, because they want to display your research. So it is not the case that whosoever or any journal is asking for money is a predatory journal. That is again a misconception, because certain journals are sponsored by government agencies, certain journals are sponsored by universities and institutions, so they have that funding, and that's why they don't require any submission fee or processing fee from the author. But generally SCI journals, good quality journals, they will not ask. There are many journals in Scopus, they ask for money. So you just cross check whether those journals are for past 5 years in the Scopus or not. It should not happen that journal is only 1 year old, and journal is 1 year old and asking you $250, then you can sense that journal is a predatory journal. So that type of thing you need to keep in mind. And there is a possibility that within 6 months the journal will be out of Scopus. There is also a possibility. So the criterion is, if journal is sustaining its presence in Scopus index in 5 years or in SCI, then it is a good quality journal. Automatically that particular journal will have good impact factor as well as good H index.
Thank you, sir. And our next question is Adolfo. From Adolfo, how can we promote the best research? What are the keys to follow?
Okay. If you want to promote the best research, then you need to post your research in websites such as academia. You need to go for an account at research gate, and you need to post your things there. People will follow you, they will read your work, they will ask for the published material, then you can send it that there. Also, there is a possibility that there are lots of Facebook groups, and there you write a few lines about the work that you have conducted, and you tell about your research to people. Then people will read, and they will ask, okay, we would like to read your complete paper, please send us the complete paper. Then that is also the way. At the same time, you need to join with the people who are in the same field. For example, someone is working on languages, lesser known languages. So if I am in contact with other people who are also working on lesser known languages, then there is a possibility that I will cite their work and they will cite my work. So it is like you scratch mine and I will scratch yours. That type of thing is there in crude terms. But you need to join a network. You need to attend those conferences, webinars where that particular type of research is done or conducted. So then automatically you will showcase your research, people will know about your research, and definitely they will cite you. So these are the things through which you can promote your best research. Because what is the purpose of a published paper? You need to think of, you need to think of that why you are conducting a research. You are not conducting a research for 5 years, 10 years. You are conducting a research that after your death even people will cite you. So that will be the vision of your research, that if I am alive or I am dead, irrespective of the fact, people must read my work and people must cite me. So if people are not citing you, that is again an indication that either they do not know about your research, or either your research is a bad research.
Well answered, sir. Uh, Next question for Children, Castor. Dr. Amitabh, can you
Yes.
suggest titles of research?
Title for research, I can suggest title for lesser known languages, because I am basically a linguist. I work on lesser known languages, endangered languages. I also work on literary topics as well. But particularly you need to think of not the titles but your interest and your capability. So if I suggest something and it is you are not capable to handle that, there is no fun in that. So I will say work on an endangered languages, but if you do not know how to collect data, how to work on an endangered languages, if you do not know anything about linguistics, then that title is of no use. So it is very vague question. You generally try to find out what are your capabilities, what you are good at, what type of research gap you would like to fill through your research. And if you keep these 3 4 things in your mind, then definitely you can you can do a good research. At the same time, you also need to localize the research. It is not the case that now I will do a research on Shakespeare. What can you do new in Shakespeare? Because thousands of people, they have done something on Shakespeare. So you need to localize things. You need to find that one local Shakespeare in your in your locality, and then work on that. So that is the favorable thing. You want to think, you want to work on, let's say, feminism. So you need to consider the actual situation of women in your society, in your locality. Then you work on the feminism there. It is not the case like you are citing Simone de Beauvoir, you are citing Lucy Gray. That will not work. You need to localize you need to take those issues, localize your issues, and you need to justify that. So that, and then people will read definitely, because they also want to know about the minor languages, underprivileged people, lesser known things. So that thing you can do.
Thank you, sir, for your well answered. And next question is Harnadej, can we ask for the soft copy of the presentation of the two good speakers?
Sure,
uh,
sure, we can.
So we will try to send. Generally, in principle, I do not send my PPT to anyone, frankly speaking. But once you are joining a webinar, then my suggestion is there is a button known as screen capture. So you should utilize that button, screen capture. That is more favorable thing rather than asking the, the speaker for a PPT for a ready-made material. That is not a good thing. So
I don't think so. So because it is webinar, so we have to share our knowledge, not only what
yeah,
we have said, but also what we have
yeah,
written. As the gift, I think, yeah. I don't know whether you have different side with me.
yes.
Okay, sir and ma'am. Next question is from Ansjibet. How many perfect residents we can do in research paper?
Okay, it is perhaps for me, yeah, Mr. Zubair, Muhammad Zubair. Well, it depends on the journal you're going to submit your article, yeah. Because some said that it is only 15% the plagiarism. It is the similarities, yeah, when we do the research paper. So other need only around 11% for the plagiarism. Therefore, if I would like to add, yeah, one of the questions from the watcher here, how about the plagiarism? Yeah, how to avoid the plagiarism 100%? She asked. Yeah, we can do it manually, even though we have the plagiarism checker made and to check similarities. But plagiarism is and to summarize by using, of course, Google it in order to help you to find synonymous word. Okay, so Google it here is not to help you translate but help you to find synonymous word, and then you can get 100% from plagiarism. That's it. Mm.
So can I add something to it? In my university, we follow the 10% rule,
Yeah.
and that 10% rule is for masteral dissertation, master thesis, as well as for doctoral dissertation. We follow this. So all the students, irrespective of different disciplines, they maintain 10%. So I think technically 10% you need to keep in mind, because I expect that the quality journals, they are also keeping 10% as a benchmark, and beyond 10% I think it is not good.
Well answered, sir and ma'am. Our next question from SM Nasi, Dr. Amitabh. What is the minimum plan for the acceptable mistakes? Muhammad Sulaiman Nasi from.
It depends upon journal to journal, and it depends upon institution to institution. So what the journal provides the guideline that you need to follow. If journal says 100 words, you need to follow 100 words. If journal says 50 words, if journal says 250 words, you need to follow that. Similarly, institutions, they have also different guidelines. So just check the guidelines
Mhm.
and of the word limit and follow it. So there is no one rule for that, that I would like to say.
Yeah.
Thank you,
So we
sir.
have.
Next
Mhm.
question from Mamata Shirin. What are the difference between different index journals like Scopus and others? And he didn't address
I
any
think
name.
Uh, yeah, I think we have answered. I think I have answered this question in an elaborate manner, but still, what is the difference between index journal like Scopus and others? So you have a category, like you have a hierarchy: one, two, three, four, five. So on the top you have SCI journals. Let's say Web of Science journal. So the index, the Web of Science is a directory. In directory, the journals that are the top ranking. Then second ranking is Scopus. Then third ranking is other different types of indexing that you have, like you have Indus Copernicus type of indexing that you have, or other type of. So the ranking wise they differ. SCI, Web of Science, Clarivet, then Scopus, and then the thing. So that is the difference that we have, and the quality wise they also differ. That is the thing.
Well answered, sir. So well answered by our speaker. I learned from every word both of you respected speaker and Q&A first cleared up all the questions which were moving in my mind and also the audience mind. Thank you so much, sir and ma'am, both of you. Dear knowledge
You're
seeker, I
welcome.
would love to thank you all from my deep heart for attending today's sessions. Hopefully, you learn something new and you implement it in your life. Please leave a review, recommend on our page if you learn something or we help you a little bit. Today's program name is Article Writing and Publication. Certification links is in comment box and instruction is certificate code not required. Certification link now available in our comment box and pinned comment. If you are not able to click the link, please browse www.eduitp.com. If you are now create your account, if you have an account, then log in. After that, you find the seminar title and get enroll. After you enroll, click the get your certificate button and automatically it will download your certificate. It's auto download, so check your file manager if nothing there. So please update your browser or try with another browser or try it from a laptop or desktop. And after collecting your certificate, never don't forget to check in with IGP and slip certification. Browse www.igp and enroll is free. Certificate code is not required. Don't forget to collect your e-certificate from our website or by the link mentioned below after session get over. And our next upcoming webinar is Teaching English as an Second Language on is June 22, 2021 in same time 6 to 8 p.m. And our next webinar June 24, 2021 is topic on effective teaching strategies with three speakers from Indonesia and celebrate with your certificate with our IGP. Our next webinar June 26, 2021 topic on features on English language teaching and learning with three speakers. It's also from Indonesia. And our next other webinar is July 2021 topic on different modalities and assessment tools in teaching math by three speakers from Philippines. And our 6th July 2021, our next webinar is topic on building bridges to the new normal. And don't miss these webinars. We will learn a lot from these webinars. And on another webinar, July 2021, topic on applied research and action research. And also the two speaker from Philippines. And 14 July 2021, our next webinar, topic on failure in the biggest teacher, with three speakers from India. And 16 July 2021, our another webinar, topic on transitions to new normal from classroom to classroom, and three speakers from Philippines. And 18 July, our annual webinar topic on modern ELT classroom with two speakers, one from Palestine and other from Uzbekistan, I think. Uzbekistan. And celebrate your certificate. Please don't forget to check in IGP while celebrating. And our 20 July 2021, our next webinar, Global Impact of Tourism, is 20 July 2021 with two speakers from Philippines. It's 2 July 2021, our topic on global impact of tourism with two speakers from Philippines. And thank you so much, dear listener. I am much obliged for you all from the core of my deep heart taking part of today's sessions. I am confident and positive that you might have been picked up and learned something new today, which you will be sure in life or your career growth. My audio viewers, I would now request you all please leave a review on today's sessions and also recommend in our page if you learned something from us. We were a little help to you all today and also request to beautiful onlooker to spread the information to your friends and community. I repeat again not to forget collecting your e-certificate from our website or by the link mentioned below after the sessions get over. After collecting e-certificate, don't forget to celebrate with ICP by checking. By you checking, we can understand our services, your attachment and pleasure. We hope to see you all again in the upcoming webinar. Until then, thank you. Brave the pandemic with a big smile and always be positive. Stay happy, stay safe. I'm your host, Salma, signing out. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.